Hey everyone, what's going on? So I'm just going to do a little sort of tutorial, if you want to say, on how to drive a paddle shift single clutch automated manual, which is this 2003 Maserati Spider. They pretty much use the same transmission from the 03 or 02, I should say, 02 to 06 Grand Sport. Same thing with the Quattroporte, and they are identical to the 430, the 360, all of those cars that have the single clutch automated manual. So the way it goes is that, first of all, people that put a negative comment on how they are or maintenance and all that, obviously never driven one of these or do not know too much. So I think it's not as clunky as some might say. There's definitely some skill required on how to drive one of these. So the way it goes is that, let's say I start the car and it's in neutral. There's no park function. So if the car is in neutral, it's gonna start, obviously. And let's say I park the car and it's in a little sort of incline, and I'm gonna park there for a little bit. Let's say this ramp right here. So let's say I'm parking on the ramp. So if I park on the ramp, I need to turn the wheel slightly a little bit and pull the handbrake. And if I feel the car is still rolling back and forth and I want to secure that it doesn't go anywhere, I can leave the car parked in first gear and then come back quickly, because you don't want to leave the car for a long period of time, I feel. And when I come back, the car is going to be in first gear, so it's not going to start. It's going to look like the battery is dead. So make sure to pull both paddles and then start the car, and off you go. That's only for temporary thing, but usually if I'm parking the car, I can park it in neutral, pull the handbrake, do what I need to do, and then come back. I've also ordered those wheel stoppers from Amazon. So if I'm parking at home, what I do is I put the stoppers, and I park the car, put the handbrake, get out, put the stoppers, and then release the brakes. So at that point, if it's gonna roll back a little bit, the stopper will stop it. And then when I start, same process: get in the car, start the car, roll up a little bit, move the stoppers, and off I go. So that's how the transmission works when we're parking. Another thing I get asked is that the sport mode and auto function. Sport mode is personal choice. I take it off of sport if I just want to cruise and stuff. Auto should never be used, because that's the whole fun of the car. The car should be driven in manual to get the fun out of the car. Another thing is that to save the clutch, if I'm coming to a stop and I know it's a certain stop, meaning the light is already red, and let's say I'm in 5th or 6th gear, I can pull both paddles at the same time and let the car go in neutral and then come to a stop. And that way I don't have to waste the clutch on downshifting, and then just wait for the light to be green and upshift, and then off I go. The only time I use the little lever is going in reverse only. So let's say I'm starting and I have a passenger with me. The car does feel like a actual manual car when going into first gear. No, going into second gear from first. It does jerk a little bit. If I accelerate hard, it won't do that. But if I just slowly roll off the throttle, it's gonna feel like I it's gonna feel like an actual manual car. So what to do on that is foot on the brake. I'm at the light, let's say. I pull both paddles. I can start the car in second gear. Ideal for if the car is in snowy, it does have a snow function, so it'll be less jerky. It won't spin as much in second gear in snowy conditions, and then I can just cruise and starting in second gear, so I can again not feel that engagement of the clutch and feel a little jerking in there. So that's one of the things that one can do to start the car. Not start the car, I mean to drive the car. So going back to the pulling the paddles, and let's say I'm coming to a stop sign and it's going to be a quick stop. Try to just roll it off in second gear. We should always come to a complete stop, but in some cases we can just lightly do it, and then it won't downshift first. It'll still downshift. I can do it with paddles, or I can let it automatically do it. But going back to pulling both paddles, let's say I'm coming to a stop and the light is red and I pull both paddles to go in neutral, and out of nowhere, let's say the car starts moving and the light turns green and I haven't come to a complete stop, I can slowly press on the brakes just a little bit and then press upshift, and it'll grab the appropriate gear that it should. So let's say I'm rolling 20 miles or less than that, it's gonna grab third, it's gonna grab fourth, whichever is appropriate. So I don't have to come to a complete stop, so no dummy behind me can, let's say, hit me, because usually people don't know what these cars are. So it's not a regular car, it is a manual, automated manual. So if I want to save fuel, I'm not going to beat the car to death and hit 4,000 or 5,000 RPM before grabbing a second gear. So that's one of the things that I have to be, or anyone who owns it, they have to be mindful, is that just predict the future for a split second or so, or a minute or so. Just know what's gonna happen when I get to the light or stop sign or whatever the situation is. And after that, we can act accordingly to what I should do. Should I downshift, upshift, or pull paddles and then to come to a complete stop? So that's one of the things that I have learned over the course of owning these cars. I never actually Googled or anything like that. My first car, when I bought it, I just drove it. I left it in auto because I was just scared of how to shift and what to do. But once I got the hang of driving it in manual, it was no going back. Never leave the car in auto. It's gonna upshift whenever it wants, and it's gonna hold on to gears way longer than usual. I can be going 40 miles per hour or even more, and it'll still be in fifth gear. And at that point, I should have grabbed fourth way before I reach 40 miles per hour. So ideally, if I want to save fuel, which normally people don't want to do in these cars, but if I want to save a little bit, usually if I put $20, and I can waste $20 just driving 20 miles. If I drive the car the way it's meant to be driven, I mean, put it in sport, take care of the paddles, downshift, upshift, and be aggressive at it and keep the RPM high. So that's if I want to save fuel, then I usually will start the car in second gear if I'm getting out of a parking lot or coming to a stop sign or just rolling, looking for parking. Keep the car in second gear, and then just drive around until you feel like you want to park the car, or off you go to wherever you need to go. But in second gear, it does feel a lot less jerky than going into from first to second. So from second to third, it's not as much. Again, I know what this car is. I'm having fun, but the passenger next to me, if someone is there, then they're not gonna know. They're gonna be like, "Oh my God, what's wrong with this car? Is it broken?" So that's why I usually, if I have someone sitting with me, I don't put it in sport, because the skyhook suspension is, again, it's gonna be less of a smooth ride. If I put it in sport, I can feel the car stiffening up a little bit. So yeah, that's one of the things. Again, depending on the situation, if you want to impress someone, definitely put the top down, put the sport on, and then downshift it, and it's just, wow. I cannot put it in words how beautiful it sounds on even the upshift and downshift. Alright guys, so I just wanted to do a video because I haven't seen an actual video on YouTube where someone would be explaining a little bit of what I know. I'm no expert, but I just wanted to send out the message, particularly on just the Maserati Spider and 4200 or Grand Sport, whatever you want to call it. Okay guys, thanks for watching.